All right, Curtis, we're down to the home stretch. We're going to be talking about the listing presentation.
So this is, you know, it's interesting because Kent brought this up this morning, which is, and I loved his analogy of it's like a dog chasing a tire, and if he catches it, it's like, oh, now what do I do? And like that analogy was so great because in all the years, this is a new epiphany to us that, and people don't realize it, but you subconsciously sabotage a bunch of your marketing efforts on the phone, door knocking, communicating with people at community events, whatever your thing is to have conversations with strangers. You are subconsciously sabotaging your strategy when you aren't confident in your listing presentation. Because and again, to use Kent's analogy, because subconsciously you're afraid if you catch that tire, you have no idea what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the more confident you are in your listing presentation, the more that will bleed through in your script, in your tone, in the way that you confidently talk to people. Like, and even in that listing presentation, I would go a step like deeper and say, one, it's not just the script in your listing presentation. And Tristan, you're going to go into your listing presentation, but it's all of the pieces that you're bringing into it. It's the marketing plan that you're going to talk about. It's the pricing strategy that you're going to end up talking about. It's the like, if you're not confident in those things, then you might even have this subconscious belief that maybe you aren't the best solution for this homeowner, and that will kill your business. And this market right now, you have to have skills and training. And so we in our 12-week masterclass that we do, actually Kent and Tyler teach. The first 2 weeks are listing presentation, because there's no point in teaching you how to prospect better if you don't know what to do when you catch that tire.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're actually offering.
That's right.
Because once you know what you're offering, that confidence in yourself changes. It's like, oh, got it. I have the Curtis plan, right? The 21-step Curtis plan to sell your home. And then that can easily turn into the 21-step Curtis expired plan, the 21-step Curtis for sale by owner plan, right? So,
well, and we have this joke in marketing where you R&D, and it's not research and development, it's rip off and duplicate.
That's funny.
So what I want everybody to do before, Tristan, you get into this, is I want people to be going, how do I R&D this? How do I take this? How do I take what Tristan's saying? How do I upload that into ChatGPT and say, make this more custom to me and my personality, right? Upload your disc profile to ChatGPT with someone else's listing presentation. Say, now make this more relevant to how I would do it. Like, do something to help you be confident in how you're going to go do a listing presentation, so that you don't subconsciously sabotage all of your lead generation efforts to get that appointment.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I like it. All right, this is where I want all of you to start then. I want you to start with thinking your marketing plan. What does it look like right now? Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the listing presentation, so we've done now over 1,000 of these. And the number one, I went on 2 last week, and I only got 1 of them. But the one thing that people that you're sitting in front of really want to talk to is they want to talk to the human. They want to talk to you. They don't want to sit through, most of them. All right. Some analyticals just want it, but most of them just want to have confidence in you. Does this person that I'm sitting in front of, can this person get the job done? And will they be available for me? And the higher you go in the price point of properties, the more true that becomes. Because when I've helped out these multi-million, $10 million, $15 million homeowners, they just want to dump things on me. And in order for them to get there, to dump things on me, they need to have the confidence in me. They need to trust that I am going to show up when they need it and that I do have the skills. So with that, I'm going to share with you my screen. Let me just get to the right one. There it is. And yeah, we will give this out to everybody, so don't worry. Let me just make sure I've got the right screen. You're going to have to tell me when you can see my screen. Curtis?
Yep, got it.
All right, cool. Let me go back to where I can see it. Good. So I can see what you're seeing, all of you. So this is something that we send out ahead of time. And I hardly ever sit down through this whole thing and go through it page by page. I've only had to do this, I think, probably less than 10 times over the 1,000 that we've done. And the reason is this: when you sit down, most people, as you're talking to them, most people, you'll gauge where they want to start. And I'll tell you this last one that I did. I'm sitting down with a group of 3. They're all siblings. And as soon as they open the door, they greet me, and then they start talking about how it's been a long day for them because they've interviewed 3 agents before me, right? And so that's already telling me there's no way in hell I'm going to go through this whole thing when I'm the last agent they're going through, and they're not going to sit through this. So I start asking questions after they're showing me the property. I'm like, what's been the most important thing as I'm going through the property? I'm saying, hey, what did the other few agents, what did they tell you that you really loved? As I'm walking the property with them and taking notes, right? So you've got to gauge where your client, where this customer is, so that you can start on the right page, or you can start with the right talk track. Now, as you're looking at this, I'm going to take you through it. I never start on page 1. So page 1 is just a bunch of garbage right here. Just who I am. I usually just talk about it. Next page, and I'll give you all of this so you can see this, just reviews, right? Again, we don't start with this directly into this. This is just something that we send out ahead of time. Then some pretty pictures. It kind of says, hey, look, we've had over 100 million volumes sold. Easy. This now is where I start getting into a little bit more of the details, right? This page, which is page 5 and page 6. These do become important for the way that I present, because I approach this a little differently. I want to talk to you about where your property is, and I want to talk to the people that are going to probably buy it and where they're coming from, because I'm going to tie directly all of that to my marketing. So for me, it's extremely important for me to talk to you about where 43% of buyers begin looking online for property, right? And this is all updated, right? Of course, 100% or 99% of people, they go to the internet first, right? But these are the steps that buyers typically take when they're looking. They don't call their agent first, but look at number 2, contact a real estate agent early in the process. And then I have these stats over here. And then this is something I don't think I've seen before anywhere.
Sorry, just my own clarification. This is a question anybody I work with hears me say this all the time. What are you hiring this page to do?
This page, an understanding of how the buyer is going to be looking and finding your home specifically. And then I'm going to match this.
So this sets up how you're going to then market the home.
You got it. And how I'm approaching it, because the other piece right here, it says home buying journey. Look at this. 96% of buyers start online and engage various sources. Right? So to me, these are the most important ones, because I'm going to talk to these below.
Love it.
So as I'm going through this, the number, I don't go through all of these. I go through probably this right here, and then the important ones. And then sometimes if somebody says, hey, open houses suck, I'm like, yeah, they do suck, right? Look, 3%. But if they say, oh man, 3%, they say open houses are amazing. We sold our last home as an open house. Yeah, look, 3%. We make sure that we actually do those, even though it's a low amount. Here's what is important to us, because we tie this directly to social media. And I mention here, I have a page that goes through and says, hey, these are the most visited websites in the world. And number one is Google. And there are so many opportunities on Google. Number two is YouTube. Number three is Facebook. Number four is Instagram. And now number five is ChatGPT, right? In that order, which is crazy that ChatGPT is number five now. So now I say, let's take a look at where you live right now. Most of the people that live here or are buying here are, and then I've already done my homework. I'm going to say, hey, most of the people that are buying in your area are Gen Xers. And let's take a look at how they function, right? And then I start going, and then next, you're probably looking at young boomers. And then I reverse engineer the type of person that's probably going to purchase here. And then I also bring in, depending on which one I go to, I also start talking about the companies that are hiring here. And for us, Curtis, one of the biggest employers here is the number one pharmaceutical in the world. It's Amgen. So yeah. Amgen pulls from Boston, Amgen pulls from San Francisco, Amgen pulls from Amsterdam. And I need to know this because I need to know, well, what's the average age of a person moving in that they're contracting, and where are they purchasing, and what's their price point, right? And as soon as I start going that route, just based on this, they're like, oh, this guy is going back to what you said. Confidence is the key. They're saying, oh, yeah, this guy knows his stuff. Like, so that's the number one thing I get after I'm done. Like, wow, you really put this together really well, right? Your plan is really good. So after I do this, then we start going into a little bit more just casual things. It's not until I get to page right here, page 12 and 13, that I start outlining the things that we do. And sometimes people want me to get right into it. So I do. It doesn't mean I don't talk about the other things. I just tell them exactly what we're going to do for them. I said, look, it may be, Curtis, it may be your first time or your second time in selling your home, but I'm going to go through all the things that we do locally with most of the homes. And then you stop me at any point in time and let me know, oh, wow, that looks good. Or how does this work? Or we don't need that. Is that okay? And then you're like, yeah, go right ahead. I said, all right, Curtis, first thing we do is I want to let you know that this is a team approach. It's not just me that you're going to be working with. And then I tell them, right? In fact, Curtis, if I go to the listing appointment, I instantly tell them, like I did this group of siblings. I go, it's not me who you're going to be directly working with, right? It's Mark. Mark is going to be the one that's going to do this, do that. And people always say, why, Tristan? I'm like, well, I'm only good at this part, guys. Like Mark's really good on the other part. Trust me, you want him there, right? Yeah. And I usually bring Mark with me.
When you're in the listing presentation, do they have a copy of this or do you have it pulled up on your computer? Or so you bring extra copies in case you mailed it, but it might be gone. What I love about that, especially if you're skipping pages, there's a FOMO principle in marketing there where if they haven't looked at it before and you're like, well, let's go to page 5. They're going, well, wait, what's on page 1 through 4? And they might be distracted. And I'm guessing that you have people go, you're like into it and they go, well, what does this mean over here on page 4?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah. It's
that happens all the time.
So whether that's very intentional, there's a brilliant marketing principle in there of the fear that they're missed out on something important that is going to get them more engaged in what you're saying and what you're not saying than otherwise. So I think that's, people should take note of that. Like, hey, in case you don't have the mail, here it is. You print the extra copies and they have it.
I do, man. Every place. So in this case, I printed out 3 for them because I typically bring my iPad and I just present off of my iPad. Mm-hmm. But I always have a copy just in case, because one time my iPad crashed. Yeah. And I was like, oh crap, I only have their copy. So I took one of their copies right. But anyway, so yeah, everyone gets a copy. And this is what I tell them. I say, do me a favor, write on this. I want you to, as I'm talking, if you have ideas, if you have questions, I want you to write on this. Because you're going to have questions. You're going to say, but Tristan, do you do this? The last agent said this. right? I want you to write that down. I want you to ask it to me. Is that okay, Curtis? And you're like, yeah,
Yes.
of course. Yeah, so we definitely do that. Good point on that one. Let me go back to this. So once we go through this is the most important page for everybody. This is where we spend most of the time. Then we sometimes touch on this if they have more questions, and then we actually go into pricing. But these are the last 2 pages, and then I'll show you what this is because this is important. When it comes to pricing, especially right now, these 2 pages, I have graphs because I find that most people, they understand as I'm showing them this graph, and I'm saying, hey, let me explain to you why pricing is really important. And I know, and I loved what was Kent's thing?
Yeah, the market,
Three different stages, right? We've got aspirations, comparables, and the auction effect. So let me go over how this works in the market, right? And then I go through the process. I said, look, especially in our market right now, this is for our market, Curtis, around 45 days, because we have 42 days on market is the average. Around 45 days, if your home hasn't sold, the very first thing people start looking at is why. They start looking at the pictures, they start looking at the pricing. They don't know what the heck's going on. And I don't want you to get here so that you're at the end of this curve and now you have less interest because we didn't set it up right from the beginning. And so then we go into the different markets, similar to what Kent said, but we have different names, but I love his idea better.
Yeah.
Right. And then once we go over the pricing, which is extremely important. And by the way, the one thing I do differently when it comes to pricing is I actually have a separate document where I've itemized the pendings and the solds and the actives all on one paper. And I take my highlighter and I highlight their competitors, right? So I actually do that with a pen and I give that one sheeter to them.
Yeah.
Then go ahead.
I just have 2 graphs if people want to screenshot that playing a pricing depending on what your market is. So I don't want to take away too much from what you're doing, but I just shared my screen there. This is, according to NAR, did a big study. As you're talking to homeowners and understanding that, hey, right now, 8 in 10 home sellers think that they'll get their asking price or more when they list their home. Watch this.
Whoa.
This is the median sales price compared to the median asking price in the, this is in the country. But if you look at that gap and you just show people, hey, 8 in 10 people think they're going to get their asking price or more. But this is the reality of what's going on in the marketplace. You can, better set some expectations for.
That's a really good graph, man.
Yeah. So screenshot that.
I already had the team screenshot it. Perfect.
Nice. That's it.
I love this. So as we're adding items like this, it really creates a lot more clarity for the people you're presenting to. And let me go to one more here. Give me 1 second so I can end. I'd love to have that graph right there. And then the thing that we forget to go through is I actually go through with them what to expect before, which we did, but what to expect during and after. So we go through what happens once we receive an offer. We go through what happens on our end, how we're negotiating and how we're dealing with multiple people. I think that the one thing that's not clear to the people you're talking to right now is, Curtis, so once you get an offer, that's where we start to now shine even more. Because what happens is I have to now talk with the buyer's agent, maybe their broker, and then if you accept it and we go through this counteroffer situation where I'm helping you negotiate because I've done this and then I show you how many times I've done it, right? Now we've got to deal with the appraiser, with the inspector. We're in an escrow state, so escrow. We've got to take a look at now hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents because we're in California, right? We probably have more paperwork than anybody else, dude. So this, right? And then I go through and all of these other people that may be involved, because I'm not sure if there's going to be a plumber coming through, if there's a roofer. And in this whole process, I need to look at all of this and make sure that it's all falling in line at the right timeline, because I need to get you out of your home when you need to get out. And I need to make sure that this process is okay. So now within that, once this is all done, and then I go through what happens after as well. So I go through this whole process with them so they understand it's not just the marketing where a lot of agents just stick to. It's what happens during and what happens after.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. And with that said, yes, you will get this copy. We'll send this out to everyone. I do hope to see you sign up. The link is there. Jazz, if you could put up the graphic so people could scan it. And I'm going to scan it when I see it, because I haven't scanned it. I don't even know where it takes me. Let me scan it, Jazz. Hold on. All right. Scan. Oh, okay. Got it. RedX plus lab coat agents. We got get both leads and prospecting for $298.
Yeah, or you could a la carte, right? I mean,
leads
start at $60 if you want to get started with something. But you know, part of the remix of adding marketing principles, not just calling principles, is anybody who signs up, we're giving a coupon for $100 for postcards. Mm-hmm. So if you sign up for one of the packages, you get $100 coupon to send out postcards. We didn't even go into that. But we have templates. We have great postcards. They applied all the principles we talked about of tapping into the right emotions and going there. Every postcard has a QR code that so you'll get a text message if somebody scans it. So then, you have now established relationship with them so you can follow up. But postcards right now are crushing it because they get 100% exposure, even if they're looking at it as it's going in the garbage. Like one of our expired postcards just says, "See why your home didn't sell," with a QR code. And if they're going in the garbage and they're an expired listing, they might go, okay. And they might, it's going to pique their curiosity. And so on the other side, then it's branded to the agent and everything else. But anyway, $100 postcards are 88 cents. So that's, you're getting whatever that is, 90, 110 or whatever it is.
Yeah. 110. Dude, I love that. I totally forgot about the postcard. I just looked it up right now on the back end to see how it looks. I see them. And they have the QR code so you can scan it and somebody gets it. All right. Questions that we missed, because I know we had a whole bunch of questions. Please ask them right now. Paul is asking, what were the 3 stages? Paul, Kent's 3 stages all had to do with pricing. So he said the 3 stages were aspirational or aspirations. He says, this one's not my favorite, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. This one is where you want to price it so high to test the market. And then he says, here's why that one becomes a challenge, right? And then he goes over that. Number 2, he calls comparable. This is where he shows what's pending, what's active, and what's sold. And he tries to place the home somewhere in that price point. And then number 3, he calls the auction effect, where he looks at the current price, similar homes, and he prices it lower than that to create some type of an auction effect, right? And Jorge, is there a way to ID who scanned it? Scanned the QR code?
Yeah. So we already have their contact information. So when they scan you, we'll tell you, hey, someone at 123 Street. That's the text you'll get. Then you can just go into our system and look up the address and you'll have all their information there.
I like that. Sheila, have you added Bright MLS for expireds?
Bright, hopefully they don't have their executives on, is a very challenging MLS. You can use expireds in Bright MLS. It requires a handful of extra clicks in the morning, but it's worth it because then we do all the rest of the work.
Cool. All right. Good question, Sheila. Let me see what we've got. We did that one. Good. Shelly asked earlier, Scott's Zoom. We'll get a link to that. Zoom with Scott?
Calls with Scott. If you join our RedX prospecting community. Scott is very active in there with that link. So, but if somebody else has it, Calls with Scott is something. I thought that's what it was.
Kevin asked earlier, are you doing video emails? I'll show you what we've done. Here, I'm going to show you something that we do. We do this weekly as well. I forgot all about this. I should have talked about this earlier. This is my email. So this is live. This is the subject line. This was last week. Ventura prices soar. Ventura County. LA cools off. Your summer market forecast. This is my email. And then at the bottom, I have this. Yeah, and we work on our thumbnails. The team does an amazing job. And then this is last week. We get this response from Eugene. It says, just read your email regarding home prices in LA and Ventura. I would appreciate a market snapshot for my zip code. Thank you. Yeah, so when they're talking about that this actually works, it does. That happens to us once a week, right? So think about that. If that's once a week, that's 52 like this in a year. Emails work so extremely well. And I think you just need to start getting into a habit of asking for an email, because I know you guys work with Keeping Current Matters. They have such a beautiful email template. You just have to add it to MailChimp or Constant Contact or anything like that. MailChimp's $20 and Constant Contact is $12. So very, very inexpensive. Scott, thank you. Scott, Calls with Scott. Perfect. All right, that's it. Curtis, anything else?
No, I mean, thank you for everybody for joining, hanging in there, whether you joined for just one session or the whole thing. We appreciate you jumping in and, give, if this brought any value, post it in the chat before we go, especially just to thank all of the people on the back end that helped make this happen, as well as all of the panelists that shared their strategies, right? That's their business.
That was good.
And they're sharing it. So if it brought value, make sure you post a link in there. Otherwise, scan the QR code and talk to somebody on the team. It's pretty low pressure. Get a demo if you want a demo of the social media stuff that Rachel was talking about, or we can help you get more listings.
Yeah, so I like it, man.
Very promises we've made. I know the team's got them, but promises we made is there's a link to a free course around prospecting scripts, objection handlers from Kent.
Okay, that's the university.
That's the Red X University.
Okay, got it.
I had the team make it so it's a free. They're not charging. It's a free course whether you're a customer or not. There is the prompt for the perfect ads strategy.
Perfect ads.
There's your listing presentation.
Oh, and then my prompt for dialogue.
Yeah, your role playing prompt as well. I think anything else will be in the emails.
And obviously the replay, right? So hold on. Listing, presentation. All right, anything else we missed, guys, that you all want? We've got university link, prompts for perfect ads, listing presentation, and then the role-playing prompt. There we go, role-playing. I spelled role wrong. Thank you. All right, very good. Thanks, great info. Can we do this again in the future? We do this again all the time, Derek. We'll do this again for sure. Thank you, buddy. Simon, yes, thank you. That was very helpful. That was great. Thank you. Super valuable. Thanks for all the info. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you. If you have any questions, reach out to Curtis or to me, and we'll help you. Thanks, everybody.